Where's my daddy? I moved to southern Texas from Ohio. It was a huge move, but I needed to get out of the snow and the general nasty area I was living in. I found a job on Craigslist for a live-in nanny, free room and board, and a pretty paycheck every week in cash. There were only 2 kids to watch, twin girls that were 5 years old. Since I didn't have a job lined up for myself yet, and my living situation was touch and go, I decided to email the mother. A few phone calls, a Skype interview, and a plane ticket later, I had a job and somewhere nice to live. Solid plans. I was ecstatic. I arrived in Texas 2 weeks later, and I hailed a cab at the airport to take me to the house I was going to be staying at. When I pulled up to the house, my jaw dropped. It was a huge house, and it was even bigger on the inside. Newly remodeled hardwood floors, new furniture, marble countertops. I even had my own bathroom. I didn't come from money by any means. Growing up in Cleveland, Ohio is no walk in the garden. The mother, Sue, showed me where all the cleaning supplies were located and left for work, saying she would be back later with the kids. I scrubbed the floors, dusted every trinket, and made all of the beds. Sue usually made dinner for the kids, so I got settled in and began unpacking before they got home so I could help. The ceilings in the house were extremely high, each one measuring at least 15 feet from the floor. I stepped onto my bed to turn off the ceiling fan, and I heard a light tapping. Startled, I turned to see the headboard slightly shaking from my jump onto the bed. Assuming it was tapping the wall, I didn't think much of it. Who was I to be picky about something as ridiculous as a headboard, right? The twins, Gina and Sophie, quickly fell in love with me, and I treated them like I would my own children. I would brush their long blonde hair and help them pick out outfits for the day. I even told them a different story every night before they went to bed. One night, after I had been with the family for a few weeks, Gina turned to look at me while I was reading. "Where's my daddy?" she asked. I froze for a few seconds. Sue didn't wear a wedding ring, and she hadn't mentioned anything about her husband or a boyfriend. I had noticed photos of her and a man her age throughout the house, but I had never met him. I smiled at the little girl and continued with my story, hoping she would drop the subject. She soon rolled over and fell into a deep slumber with her sister, and I left the room to go finish the dishes. Sue was in the kitchen making tea. "Hey, Sue," I asked as casually as possible. "I don't want to ask, but the girls were asking me where their dad is, and I don't know what to say." She shrugged, and I saw her eyes weaken like she was recollecting a painful memory. "He left me when the girls were 2 years old," she said quietly. "They ask me about him, but I just tell them that he's at work or he's out of town. I don't have the heart to tell them that their father wanted to be out of the picture." I had sympathy for the woman and how hard she worked, as my mother raised me by herself as well. I'm sorry to bring up bad memories," I said. "I just didn't know if he had passed away or something. I just wanted to make sure." "No worries," she said quietly, taking her tea to her room. Things went well, and the schedule of life in the home was etched into my mind very quickly. I did my best to take time before the kids came home to nap. As I tossed and turned a lot, it cased my headboard to make the same tapping noise as the first day I arrived. I know Sue was a very busy woman, and the last thing I needed to be doing was complaining. I worked with the situation. Time passed. The tapping continued. Normally, I didn't have to do much cleaning in Sue's bedroom. She was rarely home, and when she was, she just slept. I cleaned her bathroom and picked up the laundry hamper that rested next to her bed every day, and that was the extent of it. I didn't want to invade her personal space anyways. One morning, I noticed she was in a hurry, and I watched as she quickly ushered the girls into the car and drove away. I walked into her room to set her clean, folded clothes on her bed, and decided that I would just put them away myself and start dinner that afternoon so she could relax. There were 3 dressers in her room, and I found a spot for everything except her pajama bottoms. I opened the bottom drawer in the last dresser to find men's clothing. T-shirts, socks, underwear, shorts, much too big for Sue. I assumed that it was her pajama drawer, and maybe she had some kind of weird fetish or she wasn't over her runaway husband, so I closed it and set the pajama bottoms on her bed. I was about to leave the room when I noticed a small crack between the mirror and the wall. I had never noticed it before, and even though I respected her privacy, my curiosity was overwhelming. I slid my fingers into the crack and the mirror slid to the side with ease. I sighed it as I flicked on the light and discovered a walk-in closet filled with shoes and formal dresses. I shook my head and chuckled at myself. Sue was always so busy, it's no surprise that she didn't need most of this stuff on a regular basis. I slid the mirror door closed when I heard the tapping again. I stopped and listened carefully. It was coming from upstairs, I was sure of it. Worried that someone may have broken in, I ran up the stairs and swung the doors open to my bedroom. It was empty, but I still heard the tapping noise. The headboard was completely still. I ran back downstairs to grab my cell phone, only I couldn't find it. Fuck! I swore to myself. It must have fallen out of my pocket. I quickly walked around the rooms I had cleaned. No phone to be found. I walked back into Sue's bedroom and searched. I slid the mirror door aside to find my phone lying in the closet. Just as I walked into the room, I heard the tapping noise again. I swore it was coming from upstairs, and I glanced up without even thinking. Above my head, I noticed the ceiling was much lower than the other rooms by about 4 feet. There was an attic entrance, the ones with the string that you pull and the stairs fall down so you can climb up. I yanked on the string and climbed the stairs, armed with my pocket knife, in case an animal was wandering around up here. I used my cell phone as a flashlight as I squinted around the attic between the first floor and the second. The air conditioner clicked on, and I screamed. Bound to the wall was the body of a long-dead, middle-aged man. I shined the light from my cell phone up to his face and recognized him as the man in all of the photos with Sue that hung throughout the house. The fan from the AC was right by his hands, and as it spat out cold air, his hands moved with it and gently tapped against the wall behind him. The wall to my bedroom. Good night, everyone.